Doyle Brunson, the Godfather of poker, Texas Dolly, infamous for his high-stakes poker career, building the poker world to what it is today, and of course, the infamous 10 Deuce. Over half a century of playing cards, from Wild West gambling saloons to modern-day World Series of Poker, Doyle Brunson played it all. No one has seen poker change as much as Doyle did. No one had played with gambling legends from back in the day and current stars of the poker world. Doyle Brunson truly lived it all. As the infamous Godfather of poker, today we pay tribute to the incredible career of Doyle Brunson. Doyle Brunson was born in a small town in Texas in 1933. For context, World War II was still years away when Doyle Brunson was born. Longworth, Texas is a small town in the north-central part of the state with just a few hundred people living in this unincorporated area. Little did the town of Longworth know that on August 10, 1933, a legend was born and the poker world would never be the same again, coming from just this small little town in the middle of Texas. As a teenager, Doyle participated in many types of athletic events, including being on the All-State Texas basketball team. In the 1950 Texas Interscholastic Track Meet, he won a 1-mile event with a time of 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Despite offers from many other colleges, he attended Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas. Apparently, Doyle was quite the athlete, with the Minneapolis Lakers of the NBA expressing interest in him. However, he had a career-ending knee injury that put him out of action when it came to professional sports. Again, for context, the Minneapolis Lakers. We're going back in time some number of years here. Doyle went on to get a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree as well, and he ended up becoming a school principal. I didn't actually know that about Doyle, but it makes sense because he's been teaching people lessons for years. During this period of time, Doyle began playing poker. Right off the bat, he was a winning player, and he would use his winnings from poker to help pay for his expenses during his injury. Soon thereafter, Doyle decided to give it all up to hit the road gambling for a living, and soon thereafter, Doyle Brunson, poker legend, was born. In Doyle's early days playing cards, he primarily played in areas in and around Texas, including Oklahoma and Louisiana. At this point, he played with some old school gambling legends like Amarillo Slim and Sailor Roberts. Most of these games that Doyle played in were illegal games, and so rules were often not enforced. Not the same type of environment we see today. Although sometimes we do have stories that make us wonder. Doyle recounted a time during this era where he had 2 pairs, aces and sevens, and his opponent suffered a bad beat, but it wasn't because of the aces and sevens, it was because he got his brains blown out during the hand. I, for one, am glad about the way poker has changed, especially with the bad beats I put on some people. Wouldn't be around to tell the tales. After moving around a lot, playing poker and gambling on all kinds of things in different areas, eventually Doyle Brunson decided to make Las Vegas, Nevada his home that would remain for the rest of his life. Doyle Brunson was one of the players that started the World Series of Poker back in 1970, and he played in it every year for as long as he could. In fact, Doyle Brunson has one of the most illustrious World Series of Poker careers of anyone out there in the business, with double-digit bracelet wins. Sure, it's 10, one of the most amounts of bracelets won by any individual player, except for a couple of guys. Doyle is actually tied for second with Johnny Chan and Phil Ivey, and Phil Hellmuth still has 16 to his 10. However, if we look at cashes, we can clearly tell that Phil Hellmuth played just a few more tournaments than Doyle Brunson. However, Doyle Brunson played these events mainly when they were very small fields, sit and go type fields, compared to these behemoths that we see today. So, a couple of different ways of looking at that. No matter how you want to dice it, Doyle will go down as one of the all-time greats in the World Series of Poker and a founding member for what created the World Series of Poker as it is today. Looking through those 10 bracelets, you can see a wide variety of events that he won, including deuce to 7 draw, the main event 2 different times, 7-card stud split and 7-card stud, mixed doubles, a $2,500 event in 91, Raz, horse, and in 2005, his final bracelet, a $5K no-limit short-handed Texas Hold'em tournament. We would now refer to that as a 6-max tournament, but back then it was just short-handed. Quite a variety of events in here, although we can see there are lots of stud-based events. He also had a lot of success in the no-limit Hold'em ones. It's not just the World Series of Poker that Doyle helped pioneer. He also helped create poker strategy books as they are today with his famous work Super System. Super System is known to many as the bedrock to poker strategy books moving forward. Now, of course, we know that Super System has many outdated strategies or just incorrect strategies, but that's because when Doyle wrote the book, there were no solutions from computers about what to do, but rather his experience playing in games all around the country and what had helped him win over $1 million playing poker. The book was first published in 1979, but went on to be republished and edited and updated many times over Doyle Brunson's career, with a second book actually coming out in 2004, Super System 2. Super System contained all kinds of different games: draw poker, 7-card stud, low ball, 7 cards high-low split, limit Texas Hold'em, and no limit Texas Hold'em. There were different authors about different parts of the book. No Limit Texas Hold'em was written by Doyle Brunson. While this was going on, Doyle was playing in bigger and bigger games. He played in some of the highest stakes stuff in the world, including a 4,000, 8,000 limit mixed poker game in Bobby's Room at the Bellagio. Doyle was a staple of Bobby's Room. People would see him in there playing massive games all the time, limit games primarily, but of course some no limit hold'em as well. Having helped found the World Series of Poker and having won over $1 million in writing his book in just the 1970s, moving into the 1980s, Doyle took with him a lot of poker success, and he looked to continue that. Doyle has won a long list of tournaments over the course of his career, and on Hand and Mob we can see that he's cashed for over $6 million. There were also some fun events he won in the 80s, including Emerald Slim's Super Bowl of Poker. That's an event I would have liked to play in. And the annual Jack Strauss World Match Play Championship in Las Vegas. $10,000 no limit deuce to 7 low ball. An interesting note about Doyle Brunson's tournament career: he really just played in Las Vegas, Nevada. He played a couple events overseas in London, but has almost no cashes registered in any other city other than Las Vegas. In fact, Doyle has only one cash in the city of Los Angeles, which has had many great tournaments over the years. Doyle didn't bother to play in many of those events. He stuck to the games near and dear to his heart in Las Vegas, Nevada, primarily playing cash games. There you have it, guys. Cash games are better than tournaments. I'm not saying that. Doyle Brunson's saying it. Over the last decade or so, Doyle Brunson had been playing less and less poker. Once he'd reached his 80s, I imagine it was a little bit more difficult to get out and play all too often, but he did stop by and play on some popular poker shows like over on Poker Go. This leads up to a couple of days ago when Doyle Brunson passed away on May 14th, 2023. Doyle Brunson's passing hit the poker community hard, but none probably harder than Doyle Brunson's son, Todd Brunson. Todd let us know just a day ago, "Yes, I'm sorry, it's true. Rest in peace, Doyle." Also saying, "I don't really care about myself, but my mother literally doesn't even know yet. I'm still in the hospital with him. Thank you all for your concern, but I need to ask everyone to respect my family's privacy at this point. Thank you. I'll update everyone when possible." I could spend an endless amount of time showing you all of the outpouring from the poker community about what Doyle Brunson meant to them, but I want to talk about what Doyle meant to me. As someone that came up in poker's newer generation-ish, I always knew of Doyle Brunson. I knew of his history. I knew of his past. I knew of the 10 deuce off. But most importantly, when I looked at Doyle Brunson, I thought about what Doyle did for the game of poker. Doyle was someone that was constantly in the spotlight and represented it well. Doyle was someone that tried to expand and have business interests in and around the game to grow the game, but also to find ways to make money besides just playing poker itself. Doyle was a shrewd businessman. Doyle pioneered poker strategy. Doyle is someone that embodies all of the positive things about poker. And yeah, he came from a time with illegal games, underground games, and I guess people getting shot at the table. And for those things, I'm glad that he went through that so that we don't have to go through that today. But Doyle moved the game forward in a way that no one else has. You look at some of these other people in poker that are the big names today, and maybe they've been around for a couple of decades or a few decades, but to have played poker the number of years this guy did, to have that love for the game, and to be such a great ambassador for poker for so many years, I have a lot of respect for how Doyle handled that, with all of the pressures that came with it, all of the pitfalls that we see so many people fall into. He managed to rise above that in spades and he will be forever remembered by the poker community as one of poker's greatest ambassadors. On that note, I'd like to leave you with a tribute video of Doyle Brunson.
The education of a poker player is never complete until he dies. And I've learned things every day that I play. I've learned something new. And so consequently, there's nothing that's as important to a poker player as experience. There's something about some guys that can stick it out and rise to the occasion that other guys can't. It's the same thing in playing poker.
He's played high stakes cash, tournaments, you name it. He's iconic. You know, he's the Godfather.
Come on over here, Doyle. Thank you, sir.
I started when I was 22, and I played the biggest games I could find now for 62 years. So it'd be tough for somebody to beat that.
I'm going to try and find a podcast guest for the next couple of days, someone to talk more in depth about the life of Doyle Brunson. Hopefully someone like Negreanu or Seaver or Schulman, but I'm going to see who I can find that would want to come on and talk about it. So stay tuned for that, guys, if you want to hear more in depth about the life and legacy of Doyle Brunson. Hopefully we'll have that in the next couple of days. All right. Thank you for tuning in. A somber day in the poker community. I'll see you guys again tomorrow.